Hi everyone, welcome back to another video for our fall Deborah Muller limited palette color along. We are going to continue coloring this page today. If you are following along, we colored this sunflower in a previous video. I'll make sure the playlist for this color along, or what we've already done, is linked in the upper right hand corner so that you could watch all those previous videos. We had one video where I announced the color along and did the introduction, showed you the color palettes and so forth. Then we did another one where I showed you how I chose my pencils to match the color palette that I chose. And then we had this one for the sunflower. So if you would like to see those, it'll be linked up in the upper right hand corner. If you would like to join us for this color along, please make sure you do join my Facebook group. You will find a link for that down below in the description. And if you enjoy videos like this, please make sure you do subscribe to my channel and turn your bell notifications on. And if you enjoy this video, please do give it a thumbs up because it really helps my channel to grow. So let's go ahead and get into this video. We are going to color this flower today. I believe this flower to be a dahlia, and I went online and I pulled up some pictures because I wanted to make sure and kind of see what different colors they came in. Of course, y'all know we're working with a limited color palette, so we kind of have to use what we have. So that is where the challenge comes in. So I found this beautiful flower online that was a dahlia, and it had white on the insides, and I don't know, it might have been an edited photo. I don't know if it was an edited photo or somebody's photography or if it was actually a real dahlia. So we are going to try to color it like that. And this isn't my normal way that I usually color flowers, but I kind of wanted to show you a different way than what I normally show you. A lot of you that have been following me for quite a long time, you probably see that I have a certain way that I always color flowers, but that's kind of my style and how I do things. And like I tell you guys all the time, you need to find your own style. It's okay to find, videos on YouTube and follow tutorials and stuff like that and learn how to color, the same way that somebody else colors. But it's also very important at the same time to find your own style and the way that you enjoy doing things. And if you watch different colorists on YouTube, you'll notice that a lot of them do kind of have their own style in the way that they color flowers. I've noticed that my style is way different than somebody else that I watch that is coloring a flower. So we are going to color this one a little bit differently today, and I'm excited to do this with you guys on camera. It'll give you kind of a variation or a different idea than what I normally show you. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do, let me show you the colors that I have. I went and picked purples. And so I'm kind of going into a pinky purple and then adding some pink in here. And I'm bringing my white in, which I do sometimes on a limited color palette because white is kind of my burnishing color. But here today we are going to use it because it's actually going to be part of the color of the flower. I may bring in another color just to add a little bit more depth, but I don't know yet. We'll see how our flower's looking as we kind of go along and continue to color the petals. So I'm going to start with my darkest color, which is my Dahlia Purple. And I am going, let me zoom you guys in just a little bit here so you could see exactly what I'm doing. I don't want to come in too close because sometimes when I'm editing it looks a lot closer than it does what I'm seeing in the frame. So let's go ahead and come here, and we are going to start, let's start at the top. So we are going to come in on each one of these, and we are just going to use the Dahlia Purple, and we are going to just color just the very tops, just like this. And I'm going to come around and I'm going to do this to every single one. And to save the length of this video, I'm going to go ahead and speed this up right now while I do this part. and then I will come back for the next part and show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, so we've got our Dahlia Purple all laid down on all the outer edges, and I kind of stayed away from these here that are on the very inner part of it because I don't know what I want to do with the exact center of the flower yet. I may come back and go ahead and do the same thing here, but I'm kind of going back and forth in my head what I actually want this part to look like. So we're going to come in now with our mulberry, and we are going to kind of pull this through even more, but we are not coming down all the way to the bottom. We're just kind of pulling this through and adding a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up again while I pull this down, and you can go ahead and do this along with me. So next we're going to come in with our hot pink, and we are going to pull this color, let's not go into the darkest color or the area where we laid that, but let's pull from the second color, our mid-tone, and let's pull this down a little bit, but we're not going all the way to the bottom because, again, if you remember, we are going to keep the white of the paper here closest to the bottom of the petals. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so I finished that part, and if you notice, I did also off camera come back in here and go ahead and add my darkest Dahlia Purple all in here on these outer ones, but not in the center. And I'm just going to come in here and do the same thing and add in some more color to these areas. And I don't know, I just kind of color as I go along and decide what I want to do as I go along. I don't always know what I'm going to do from the start. I'm coming back now with my hot pink to pull this down a little bit. But I don't always know where I'm going in the beginning when I start And I just kind of take it slow. And I just thought that these would look good since I had already done a couple over here and it kind of looked unbalanced to me in a way. So now I'm just leaving this very center part and we'll see what happens. Okay, so now the part that's going to bring this all together is we are going to come in with our Prismacolor White. You guys know this color is like magic. It is perfect for burnishing. I don't know if a lot of you know what burnishing is, but that's where you just kind of bring all the colors together and get rid of the white in the paper. But we are actually going to use this today to color over some of the white, and you see these black lines in here. I'm going to color over those and try to get rid of them because in the end I'm going to come back with some stickles and I'm going to kind of recreate those lines. So I don't need to get rid of them completely, but I want to get rid of them, just kind of fade them out a little bit. I want to still be able to see them so that I know where to come back with my stickles when I add those or add the glitter at the end. A little bit of advice when you're doing this: you're going to be using this to come over just the white areas in the petal of the flowers. But what tends to happen when you do this with your white Prismacolor is you may get a little bit of the pigment on the very tip of your pencil. And when you do that, you need to be able to color on another piece of scrap paper or something that you've got on the side. Because if you don't, when you come back into another white area on the flower, or any object that you're coloring, and you bring that pencil back down onto the white, the pigment of your pencil that came off from when you went over the previous color will get into the white area that you want to just keep white. And there is an easy fix for that with a Posca or a gel pen, but if you don't want to have to do that, then just be a little bit cautious of the tip of your pencil, that you don't have another color on there that you're bringing into the area that you want to keep white. So let's go ahead and get started with this now, and I'm going to show you how I do the first one. I'm going to start just where it's white, and I'm coming in here and I'm shading this, and see, it's already getting a little bit of pink. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's already getting a little bit of the pink on the tip. So that's why I'm saying you need to just be a little careful. You're going to start here on the inside and then you're going to pull it out because we want to burnish all these other colors together. So you're going to start with the white and then come out. And look how beautiful that is. It just beautifully burnished all of those colors together and gave it a beautiful blend. And it whited out or lightened up the black in the flower to where we can hardly see it. But I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that in the end. We're going to come back with our stickles and we're going to go over that. Those of you that don't have stickles, I will have a link down in the description below. And that is to the place that I buy all my stickles, because it is the cheapest place that you can find stickles. I've stopped purchasing my stickles on Amazon because they're just too expensive on Amazon. I mean, you get quite a few colors in a set when you purchase them on Amazon, but you're going to pay more per stickles. So if you use the link that I have down below, you will be able to get your stickles at probably $1.85 a piece, which is a fantastic price. Now, when I'm going over these, I am just using, I have a piece of scrap paper over here to the side, so I'm just coloring a little bit on that before I come back to do the white area. And just make sure that you don't pull the color into the white area. Just give it a nice blend at the end, but don't pull it down too far. And I'm going to go ahead and speed this up now so y'all can kind of follow along with me. noticed my tip of my pencil was getting a little dull, making it a little bit more difficult to continue this burnishing technique. So I got out my little comb sharpener that I use. I usually use my Dahl 133, but if I'm just, you know, sharpening it up and just freshening it, I will use this little comb pencil sharpener, which I absolutely love. So I sharpened the tip of my pencil so I could continue coming in here. Oh, there goes my lead. But so I could continue coming in here and just making sure that I'm not pulling the white into the other areas, and where I've got a very small white area, I want to make sure that my tip of my Prismacolor can get in there. And I also want to explain to you that if you're trying this technique and it's not working as well, then it could possibly be your paper. I am using the Spring Hill digital paper that I told you all I would use because I was using my Prismacolors. This paper works beautifully with Prismacolors. I don't generally like it with some of my other pencils. If I'm using my Artezas, then I use the Neenah paper because I find that the Neenah paper works better with the Arteza pencils just because they're a harder pencil and not as waxy, and I feel like this paper has more tooth, so it works really well with the much more softer, waxier Prismacolors. If you are using the Arteza pencils, you can use the Arteza pencils and still be able to create the same burnishing effect. I have tried it myself before, and the Arteza White is actually pretty good. Okay, so we've got that part done. And so the next part is we are going to have to come in and add a little bit more of dimension. After you burnish everything out with your white Prismacolor, you can always come back and add more color in the areas that it lightened up. But if you look at this, you can see that we pretty much got rid of the white in the paper, and this is what the burnishing technique does, which is really amazing. So let's go ahead and get our darkest color, and again I'm going to use my comb sharpener and I'm going to freshen up this lead so that it is nice and pointy, because what I'm going to do with this is I am just going to come in at the very tips of all of these petals and I'm going to darken them up, and while I do that I'm going to go ahead and speed this up to music. to come back and I'm going to try to do a little something with the very center of my flower. And I don't know if I want the darkest color in the center of my flower. I think I want to come back with the hot pink. And I'm going to just color these in. And I don't know where I'm going with this yet. I think I probably need a little bit more dimension, and so I'll have to do that at the bottom. But I think I want the tips to be white. I just kind of want the very center to stand out a little bit. So let me go ahead and get my Dahlia Purple. And I don't know that I'm going to add mulberry in this section. Let me go ahead and freshen up my lead so that I could get into those little tight spots there. And then I am just going to come in here. Hopefully you guys can see this, and I'm just going to add dimension to this by just doing these little flick movements here. And if you can see, I am kind of outlining some of the natural lines while I just try to create depth here. And the depth that I'm creating is just going to kind of separate each one of these petals from the other. And now I'm adding a little bit more of my hot pink. And I don't know, they kind of look the same, but they look a little bit different. I think I'm going to get my Posca, and I am just going to dot the tips of these so that they stand out. And then I'm going to come back and just add a little bit more depth in between here. And then again line these areas here. And I'm coming back over a second time with the Posca, because once it dries, a lot of times when the Posca dries over pink, it kind of, I don't know, it pulls onto the pink and then it doesn't look white anymore. So that is what I did to fix that. And if you want to come back, if you remember, we came back with our Dahlia Purple and we did all of the edges. If you wanted to come back and do a little bit more mulberry to pull that through even a little bit more in some of the areas that look like they need it, you can do that. If you're using the Spring Hill paper, it does have quite a bit of tooth, so you can always come back and keep adding to it if you wanted to add more layers. And it will also add a little bit more dimension, but it all depends on the look that you're going for and what you want to do. You can also come back a second time and you can add a little bit more of your hot pink in there to kind of brighten it up, and you could even come back with your white again if you wanted to. The more layers that you add, all it's going to do after you have used your white is it's just going to brighten it up even more and create even more depth and create that look where your flower is just kind of popping off the page. And if you go around and you see some areas where you still see white of the paper and you want to get rid of that, you can do that too and continue with your burnishing. But I think this was a really cool lesson because it kind of turned into a burnishing tutorial at the same time as coloring the flower, and I showed you a different way than I usually would show you because I generally have a certain way that I color flowers, and this was a little bit different than what I normally do when I color a flower, and I just wanted to try to, you know, find something new and do something a little bit different than I would normally do. But I don't usually leave the white on the insides. I usually darken that area up. So I kind of did this the opposite of what I would normally do. Now we are going to go ahead and pick our stickles so that we can add some glitter to this. Okay, so here is my beautiful box of stickles. You guys know how much I love these. And again, if you want your own collection of stickles and you want them at the lowest price you could possibly get them, check the description below. I'll have a link down there for you, as well as anything else that you've seen me use in this video and all the links that you'll need if you want to join us for this color along or join my Facebook group. So let's look at some of these colors and see what we can do. I mean, I don't know if we want to just go with like a straight up silver, or if we want to add more purple. The mermaid tail is absolutely beautiful, so that will be an option. And then we've got this, I don't even know what color this is. It doesn't have a name on it, but that's gorgeous too. And I might swatch these on my scratch sheet that I've got over here to the side. I've got this gorgeous purple. This is lavender. And I might swatch a couple of these and see how they look and how they'll look and if they'll really even show up when I lay them down on my flower. What is this? Ooh, look at that magenta. That's gorgeous. I don't know that I want to add that much pink to it though. And then I've got this thistle. And where's my unicorn? What about Stardust? This is a pretty color. So I'm going to go ahead and set this down, and we are going to, I'm going to swatch a couple of these colors, and I'm going to choose one, and I will be right back. So I decided on a color for my stickles, and I'm going to go with this color. I don't know what color it is. It must have come in a set or something, but it's got pinks and blues in it and purples, and it is just gorgeous. And it's not like a true pink, it's the exact pink that is actually in our flower here. So I'm going to go ahead and lay the stickles, and I'm going to speed this up to music. Done with our dahlia, and I think it turned out really beautiful. I hope y'all enjoyed this tutorial and this little burnishing technique that I showed you that you could do with your white Prismacolor or even your white Arteza pencil, which also works dependent upon whether you guys decided to use the Artezas or the Prismas. And anything that I've used in this video, you will always find in the description box below. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Happy coloring. Bye.